And for you, SLOs are very exciting because you're making money today. You stop the bleeding on your marketing spend today. You're getting customers today and you feel really good.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, indies? Welcome back to Creative Juice. This is the podcast where we cover growing and monetizing a fan base and building a music career with marketing strategies that are working right now based on what we see every single day inside of our music marketing agency and across our community of thousands of artists and bands. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. This is episode 384, and I'm your host, Jack McCarthy. And with me, as always, to continue our conversation on offers is Circa. Cirque, what's up, dude?
What's up, y'all? Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out. How can I possibly be upset?
That's true. Best day ever. Best day ever. We're coming back to kind of continue our little mini arc here on offers, which, if I'm being totally honest with you guys, when we were planning out the podcast episode that we did last week on offers that we wish every artist knew about, we were thinking that it was all going to be one episode. And then as we started rolling through it, we were like, oh, this really needs to be further expanded upon. So this is the second in this series on offers. And today we're going to be talking about how to eliminate your music marketing budget altogether, to never pay for marketing again, and what you can do with your offers to ensure that happens. And I'm really excited to talk about this one because it's an offer that I wish every artist knew about, and that is the idea of a self-liquidating offer.
Yes, SLOs, as we call them in the industry parlance.
SLOs in digital marketing.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and really it's a teaching tool. It's not an actual standalone thing because it's hard for those beginning marketing to really understand the concept of spending money to make money. It's hard to really wrap your head around and internalize. And SLOs are like a bridge to this ambient feeling that all marketing spend when your marketing is working will be worth it. So like my wife recently took on marketing faculties at the company she works at. She's normally VP HR. They paid a marketing gal who was doing like LinkedIn and Instagram posts for a like B2B services business where the target customer is like a multi-complex apartment building manager. So LinkedIn posts and Instagram posts aren't really moving the needle in terms of client communication.
You don't say.
Yeah. And so I was telling her, I was like, well, you guys should really just, because you probably they only serve so many regions in which there are only so many apartment complexes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the target client list is not mass market. It's like put them on a list and write them by hand, like amount of people.
Sure. Yeah.
And when you're in that scenario, B2B, small target market, the hand-to-hand combat rules everything. You want to go out and like know these people's names, send them fruit baskets, send them tickets to their favorite show or sports game, wine and dine them one-on-one. You don't want to do like digital advertising, social media marketing, whatever. And so the point being is that I told her, like, you should take a marketing budget and use it to get the whole company to want to use you. You have to provide discounts in which your company makes less. But to get one person who's a decision maker to like you and thus bring the whole company with them, you just need to impress this one person. So you should take any effort that's legal to make them like you. That could be sending them like a branded custom coffee maker for the office. It could be getting them tickets to things, whatever it is. Just say, this is what we do for our customers. We're doing it for you because we want you to be our customer and not our competitor. And point being is she was very foreign to this concept of spending money to get the client. And I was like, well, if an apartment complex, multi-manager is worth $40K to your business in the next year, you should be fully willing to spend $10K to get them. Okay. Now it won't take $10K, but that's just the concept at play is, marketing is a faculty by which you don't have to think about the spend because if it works, you're making far in excess of the spend.
Right.
And that's what SLOs really help you to understand without having to like intuit it. You can know, well, the point of an SLO funnel, self-liquidating offer, is I'm going to send traffic. I'm going to spend money to get people's attention, send them to an offer that's very low cost, such that much more people will take it than if it was like $100, $1,000, $10,000 offer. The conversion rate is going to be artificially high. And so you will be able to see in this toy model that in a very short time frame, they see the ad and within 7 days, they have bought if they're going to buy. Now, if that percentage of people who do buy out of those who end up on the page who see the ad is high enough, your sales will be in excess of your ad spend. And you will see in this toy model in a 7-day time frame that the offer liquidates, that your marketing spend comes back to you. And that's really helpful to see with your eyes for the first time, because it gives you the fundamental understanding you need to eventually abstract this out and say, well, what about 30 days? I'm kind of willing to just even lose $1 on the SLO if in 30 days, on average, they buy another thing. Because then I can see the 7 days thing worked. And if I expand it out to 30 days, I can see even more people purchase. Now at Indiepreneur, we're looking at 6 months. What's the first 6 months of every Indie Pro member we get? On average, Indie Pro members on average stay about 6 months right now. And that's before we're doing like a whole host of service upgrades, which should increase that. That's just to say that we're willing to spend up to half of the 6-month revenue. So if Indie Pro is $55 a month, that is 110 times 3, that's $330. So we're willing to spend $150 to get an Indie Pro customer fully. But we would never think like that coming into this business fully green, not understanding marketing. That would be super scary. We're spending $150 to acquire a customer who's paying us $55 for the first month. Super scary. We're losing $100 every time we acquire a customer. But we know, because we've been around the block, that we're actually gaining $150, not losing $100. So that's this kind of thing that SLOs get you to internalize, is like, oh, wait a minute. When I spend, some of it comes back.
Yeah. And, I'm glad we started by talking about the topic of spending money to make money. Because if I'm being honest, I think there's a lot of cope in the music industry and just in startup businesses in general. Like, oh, you got to spend money to make money, sport. And it largely misses the point, that phrase, when it doesn't come with the baseline education of what you should actually be spending the money on and where it should be making the money back, and really when, which you started to touch on there of
so true. That when is crucial in the music industry, especially.
Yeah. There's so many examples of self-liquidating offers, and there's a few examples that we could point to in music as well. Things we've employed for artists at the agency, things that we've seen people across Indie Founder and Indie Pro use. And we can touch on that in a second here. But something else I wanted to touch on as well was the reason that I get so fired up about self-liquidating offers, and in particular, just offers that are paying for themselves, products that you're selling that are paying for the cost of your marketing, is that when you have something that is paying for the cost of itself and the marketing that is getting someone to buy it, you basically unlock infinite cash for your marketing budget. It's kind of crazy. It's a business hack, really. If you think about it, once this switch flips in your head, you're like, oh, I could put my ad spend on a credit card and that gives me 30 days to pay it off. And if my customers are making me more money than it's costing me to get them to buy something, then, oh my gosh, I could just keep doing this over and over again. And so that's one facet of this that I wanted to really hit on here, and why I think this is so important. The second one being, there's a big misconception among artists that I see. This is wild. I mean, we've talked about this plenty of times. You and I've definitely said this here before. But when you have an offer that is working and you're continuing to spend money to get your fans to purchase it, you should not arbitrarily turn it off because you just decide, oh, well, it's time to move on to something else. If it is literally printing you money and wiping out your marketing budget, why would you stop? You run that thing till the wheels fall off. And really, you run it until you need to make changes to it to make it continue running. And you can sort of see how with this kind of offer structure, with this type of offer, you can build marketing machines that help you add revenue into your business at all times. That's where you apply digital marketing skills. That's where you apply the ability to pivot and make changes. That's where you really get smart about how you market, where it's like, okay, something's starting to dip. My conversion rate is going down. Less people are clicking. That means I might need to change my ad. That might mean I need a new hook around what I'm selling. Maybe I need new ad creative. Maybe I need different copy. Maybe I need to slightly change the skin of this offer. But you can do so much of that without just being like, I guess it's time for something new. And so that's the second big point that I wanted to touch on here when it comes to these sort of self-liquidating offers, is that when you find one and you have one working in your business, you should keep your eyes on that and be like, okay, this is a piece of my marketing puzzle that is working really well for me. And I need to make sure to continue to optimize it so that it continues to do the thing that it does, rather than just willy-nilly abandon it, which I think is something that artists are so tempted to do, because that's just kind of the old guard in music.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing to kind of note that you're up against in the music industry when you're trying to wrap your head around these marketing concepts, especially as it pertains to takes money to make money, is that all of the traditional marketing in the music industry, let's think of different marketing objectives, campaigns, things you might do to market yourself as naturally having different liquidation points. Okay. So like I said, for us, let's say we're acquiring an Indie Pro customer at $150. In the example I described before, average stick time is 6 months right now. Okay. So average Indie Pro stays for 6 months. Okay. So if we're acquiring at 150, when do we expect that 150 to liquidate? In the third month. That's when we know we'll cross that solvency line for a given average customer earned. Okay. Every marketing campaign you could run is going to have a different natural average for when it liquidates. And the thing about the type of marketing that the music industry does is it's the type of marketing that Clorox employs, that Mott's apple juice employs, that Huggies employs. It's mass marketing. And what they're trying to do is to associate a concept in your mind with their brand name, so that when you're in the grocery store making automatic system 1 decisions, or system 2, whichever one's automatic, when you're making those decisions, your brain just thinks, I want my baby to be comfortable. Huggies is comfort. I'm going to buy Huggies. It becomes an automatic decision. That's the type of thing they're trying to do. So they don't need you to go in the grocery store and claim their discount on Huggies today. They need you to, in 7 months, in 8 months, when you're in the grocery store and you're thinking about diapers or toilet paper or whatever, you have the right associations in your mind. The right thing spoke to you. So it is setting up like a lifelong consumer base with semantic association. And this is something that could take years to self-liquidate. Car companies are probably the longest. They're associating their brand with safety and security of your family, and you don't even have a family yet. But when you do in 7 years and you're thinking about cars that are going to keep your family safe because your Camaro doesn't cut it anymore, that's when it pays off. The music industry only traditionally deals in these long tail liquidation points. They're trying to convince you that Justin Bieber is pop music. Okay. That's the type of association they're making. They're not saying go buy the new Justin Bieber album today and you get a free meet and greet at his next tour, which is a deal. That's like an offer. It's concrete. It's direct response. We're telling you about this thing you can go get right now, and we want you to go get it right now.
Moreover, if you get it right now, then you get all of these benefits.
You benefit. Right. Yeah. So there's really that's incentivizing you, making it more attractive to go get it right now. So we're trying to move that liquidation point closer, or at least the sale point closer. Okay. And so indirect response, that's all we deal in. We deal in short liquidation points measured in days, weeks, months, and in some cases, minutes. That's what we want to deal in because it's less loosey-goosey. And when you're resource constrained, you cannot afford, first of all, there's test cycles. So if I test something and it's not supposed to liquidate in 7 years, I got to wait 7 years to know if I was right. Okay. So we need short iteration cycles. And we need low budgets, because I can take a $40,000 product and give it a liquidation point that's years in the future if I'm really confident in a lot of things. I've done this many times before. Our infrastructure is set up, our market research is valid, and we've sold millions of these cars before. So we really know that we can do that. But when you're a startup business, you need to get information quick, and you do not have a lot of money to spend. So you need your liquidation point to be really close. And that's what self-liquidating offers can help with. And in general, like as an artist, you should be thinking in this way. You should be thinking, my offers need to get a sale today. I need to be putting stuff out there in forms of marketing whereby someone might go buy something today, not in, they might think I'm cool in 8 years. And so the music industry ends up being really inefficient because they're taking essentially startup businesses, new artists, and they're using the exact inappropriate form of marketing for them in which they have low information. And when you have a liquidation point that's years in the future or months, you need high information. You need to really know your numbers, and your numbers are based off of experience with this business, not with some hypothetical like business. So really important that you know that not only that the forms of marketing you encounter in the music industry are broadly incorrect for the context, but that's all you're going to encounter. And that's what all the pressure is on you to use to get famous with Spotify playlists. So the point being is that these marketers don't care about if their offers self-liquidate. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know what it would mean to make money by spending money. They assume that all the money they spend loses in the short term. That's why it's a foreign concept.
It's really funny because even in music circles, however, like I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with artists or their teams or people adjacent to them where we've talked about advertising, for example. And the question to me has come up to be like, okay, well, if we're running traffic to Spotify, like how do we make sure that we're making as much back as we're spending? And I look at them like they have 3 heads and I'm like, you won't.
You won't.
You can't. You cannot. Your the cost just to get someone to click on your ad is always going to be more than what a stream nets you times out of 10,
Yeah. And there's a place for taking a little bit of a bigger risk. Ideally, we have this tight iteration loop. We have a very short liquidation point, days, maybe weeks. But in this case, it's okay to take like a year-long foray and say, hey, I'm going to put $100, $200, even $300 a month on streaming traffic. And if in a year, I'm not bringing in more than what is essentially $5, $10 a day in streaming revenue, then I will consider this a loss or just a learning experience. But if you're keeping the amount of your budget that this strategy takes up really limited, you still have room for other things that are more certain. It is the case that we have seen with certain artists, and not all, but certain genres that have the right image in place and the right push, and they're releasing very consistently. They're kind of on the hipper edge of modern music. Then they often can go from spending 5 to 10 a day on Spotify, and in 6 months, they're bringing in that. That does happen. These Spotify strategies do self-liquidate. We're not here to say they don't, but not for everyone by a long stretch. And it is a risk. And you do have to have like a when say die kind of point in that.
Dude, yeah, really well said. And I want to clarify even further because it probably sounded like I was making a hard statement that like spending money to build top of funnel on streaming isn't going to ever self-liquidate. That's not true. However, it is very hard. It does not occur for all artists. And I would say in most cases, it will not self-liquidate quickly. It might be self-liquidating in 6 months. It might be self-liquidating in a year, but it will not be a day-long self-liquidation. It will most likely not be a month-long self-liquidation. It will most likely be as a result of building a critical mass of listeners that continue to listen, but it doesn't function the same way as a self-liquidating offer.
Yeah, 100%.
So what does, right? We've kind of talked about the concept of self-liquidating offers, and now we've talked about what it means to spend money to make money and how this concept of a self-liquidating offer is really just to teach you what it means to market well and spend marketing dollars to get a return that you can then keep feeding into the machine to get fans, to turn them into customers and turn them into repeat customers and build revenue and profit in your business. The crazy thing about self-liquidating offers is that so many different things can become a self-liquidating offer. We see a lot of artists get started with something like a free plus shipping and handling funnel, where you're giving away a free CD or really any kind of free merchandise, and you're charging your customers shipping and handling and using that to cover the cost of goods and ideally cover some of the cost of the marketing and squeak out a little bit of a profit. That's one example. I've also seen, this is a really cool one, on the back end of opt-in offers, which we talked all about bribes on the last episode. On the back end of opt-in offers, sometimes you can include a small little, what we call a tripwire after an opt-in offer, a bribe, and you use that to wipe out the cost of getting your subscribers. The 502s, we cooked up with them years ago in their Camp Feels Good album launch, this idea of a camp packet that they did. It was basically like a starter pack of sorts, a physical packet that went hand in hand with this album launch experience. And they sold this on the back end after people signed up for it, sent it to their fans, and they used that to wipe out all of the cost of getting people to sign up for the album launch. It was really cool. That is an example of a self-liquidating offer. It was driving the cost of their marketing campaign way, way down, which is really cool. But even offers priced at retail, what you would sell them, what you would want to sell them to your fans at with no discounts, can work as self-liquidating offers. If you have a great offer that your fans want and you're running ads on it and it's making more money than it's costing you to produce it and market it, then you have a self-liquidating offer. And we see that as well. CDs, vinyl, DVDs, it works.
Yeah, 100%. SLOs are a really great onboarding tool for those who are new to digital direct response marketing. I think we've explained in this podcast why. Let's talk about the thing that's not often said by those who are championing this protocol, okay?
Ooh, here we go.
Because you have to understand, there are people out there, obviously. I mean, we are some of these people, right? We sell direct response digital marketing advice and instruction and education. And so we're incentivized to find things that are exciting for you and then mask all of the trade-offs, okay? And for you, SLOs are very exciting because you're making money today. You stop the bleeding on your marketing spend today. You're getting customers today and you feel really good, okay? So it feels really good for you. And as long as there's no like trade-off, then you're really excited. And we want people who are excited because it makes them want to like join our community, invest in our training, and learn what we teach. So here's how I'm going to shoot myself in the foot a little bit. SLOs are not a panacea, okay? And there are definite trade-offs. And this is something that takes you a while to learn in digital marketing because you get introduced to them by people who are trying to hype you up and hide all the trade-offs. But here's the trade-offs just plainly spoken. When you do an SLO, you are moving your liquidation point closer, okay? And you're doing this by artificially raising your conversion rate, the rate at which people who see and click on your ad actually buy the offer you're selling. So let's say 100 people click on your ad and then 15 people buy. That's a 15% conversion rate. And that's very high for cold traffic. So in an SLO context, you are raising that artificially. How are you going to raise it artificially? Why are people buying more than they otherwise would have? Because you are dropping the cost of the product relative to the value. So a product I might sell for $20, I'm now just going to give you if you pay the shipping. And really with the handling, I'm going to self-handle and I'm going to pay for the cost of printing it with that self-handling. That's all behind the scenes. Ultimately, all you know is that you're paying what would essentially be your shipping costs in a normal scenario. And so you're basically getting something for free. And that's going to spike the conversion rate. More people are going to take the offer because they have to give up less to get the value. So is that free? Do you get to move your liquidation point closer and discount down this product and there's no side effects and downstream consequences? No, of course there's trade-offs. You live in an entropic vacuum. There is no action without an equal and opposite reaction. And here is the downstream consequences. So number one, you are dropping the quality of the average customer that comes into your business. They're less informed. They care less. Because if they just by necessity, right? Let's say you're offering a CD for $20 to cold traffic on the internet with an ad. Anyone who's not that interested isn't going to buy it. But there might be people who are just right on the cusp of being interested, but the price is just too high for them. They can't justify it. They don't know who you are. But now when you drop the price, now they're above that line. And you're getting all these people who aren't really qualified to buy stuff from you coming into your customer base. Now, to you in the short term, you're like, that's great. I have more customers than I otherwise would have. But these are kind of shit customers. They're hard to contact. They don't have a great follow-up sales rate. There's a lot of things that are downstream consequences of you dropping your lead quality, your customer quality. 2, you're devaluing your product. It's going to be very hard for you to sell something that you discounted down to meet the criteria of an SLO later at full price. It's going to be harder because you're basically taking everyone in your ecosystem who's already aware of you, and you're telling them that this product is worth nothing or worth very little. It's going to be hard to raise that in the future. It's going to be hard, again, like I said, to sell follow-up products at full price because a lot of these people only came in because the price was artificially low. And then further, you are kind of getting this learned helplessness where to you, success has only ever come to you in the form of unreasonably discounted offers. So you are kind of making it harder for yourself psychologically to justify higher prices in the future. You're going to be an infinite discounter. You're going to always reach for a hammer, even if what you're looking at is not a nail. You're going to always reach for discounting your price down over adding value or over, better explaining your sales argument, over better warming up your leads. You're going to use this cheap, easy hack a lot more often than you really should, likely, if you start using it very early in your digital marketing career, just because it's immediate. It has immediate results. It's like steroids versus 7 years of working out, right? That's kind of what it ends up being. So there are trade-offs. You do shoot yourself in the foot in terms of longevity. And you're just really delaying problems you have in the here and now, and you're going to deal with them later.
So how do you balance the trade-offs? One way is knowing them, which is crazy, but I'm glad we talked about that here because a lot of times, and I've seen this for years, self-liquidating offers aren't new. Self-liquidating offers in music aren't new. I was seeing there were free plus shipping and handling funnels for CDs long before Indepreneur was even around, right? And what's interesting is for one thing, it's kind of an advanced skill, right? Self-liquidating offers, because of the trade-offs, it's kind of an advanced skill. Sure, you can put it in place early in your career, but you're pulling forward revenue and profit, and you are pushing off inherent business bottlenecks that you're going to have to solve eventually.
It takes almost no expertise to implement this and want to implement it. It takes almost all the expertise to know how to minimize the impact of the trade-offs in how you use it. So knowing when the exact right time to leverage it is very expert.
Exactly. So those are 2 things to keep in mind as far as mitigating these trade-offs, I think. Another thing is keeping in mind that there is a time and place for running self-liquidating offers, and there's a sandbox for having them as part of your music business. But it was also why I mentioned eventually your regular offers that are fully priced can and should also become self-liquidating offers. Will they run forever? No, probably not. They will run in product seasons during your launches, but they will self-liquidate in the same way that something low price discounted down would. And they should. Frankly, you should be able to create an offer for a new record without telling people that it's free. You should be able to craft an offer that is valuable enough to your fans and potentially totally new customers that are just coming into your world. You should be able to make content and create an offer that is reasonably priced enough that people will want to buy it. That is a skill that comes over time as well, for sure, especially when it comes to selling to cold traffic. But you can do it. I see it happen all the time. It's not an illusion, or it's not a mirage that's far out in the distance and something that no artist can actually attain. It is real. It is really real. We've experienced this numbers of times at the agency. We've done plenty of podcasts talking about selling full priced to fans, selling to cold traffic. This is real stuff. It happens. And I think that it's something that every artist that wants to deploy self-liquidating offers, especially like free push shipping and handling or low-cost tripwires or whatever it might be, needs to keep in the, in their mind. They need to be kind of focused on that as the eventuality of their marketing.
100%. That said, we have, our free push shipping and handling funnel strategy. It is an SLO. It could be your first SLO. This episode should serve to calibrate you to the trade-offs, the sort of what's going on under the hood, how this strategy exists, what category of strategy is it, how does that exist in the context of like your digital marketing education, and the things you should be warned about up front before you use it and think that it's some kind of magic bullet.
That about covers it. Self-liquidating offers. One of the 3 offers that we wish every artist knew about. I hope you guys dug this. We'll see you next time, where we talk about maybe the opposite of this. We'll see you guys there. Peace out, Indies.
East Coast, West Coast, say what?